Welcome back to Williams Report. Today, I'm currently at the University of Utah. Today, I'm joined by the current Utah Student Body Vice President, University of Utah cheerleader, and she's also the current Miss Greater Salt Lake, Maddie Dahl. Maddie, thank you so much for taking time to join me.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here, so it should be a fun interview.
To start things off, why don't you share with us where you're from and where you grew up?
Yes, so I have lived in Utah my entire life. I grew up in Heber City, kind of up in the mountains by Park City. Went to Wasatch High School, and I graduated from there, and I decided to stay in the state for college, obviously, so I just love the state of Utah.
Now, what inspired and motivated you to compete for the title of Miss Greater Salt Lake, and how did you prepare for this?
Yes, so I was Miss Wasatch County last year. I competed for that title 3 times over again because I didn't win the first time. I got a first runner-up the second time, and then I competed for a third time. And after having that title, I realized how much of an impact I really can make in my community. And so I knew I wasn't done. My journey wasn't done. And so I was looking throughout the open competitions here in the state of Utah, and I found the Miss Greater Salt Lake competition. And I saw that many of the girls that I look up to and that I found are really impactful, like I said, in their communities, have come from this organization. And so that's ultimately why I chose the Greater Salt Lake organization. And it's a really cool title. I mean, I live in Salt Lake, and so it's kind of fun to be the Miss Greater Salt Lake. So,
Well, yeah, it must be cool. Now, can you share with us some of the challenges you faced during the Miss Greater Salt Lake competition and how you overcame those, some of the challenges?
yeah, I think anytime I compete, I kind of get a sense of imposter syndrome. It's just sometimes feeling like you're not enough. But luckily, I have a really, really phenomenal support system. My family's been super great in supporting me throughout my pageantry career. And so I think just reminding myself that everything I do is enough, just waking up in the morning, getting ready for the day, that's enough. And that was one of my biggest struggles, like going into this competition was, am I going to be enough? Am I going to win something? But it's not necessarily about winning the title. It's about what you gain from the competition. And I definitely gained some lessons, gained some knowledge, gained some friendships. And so that's ultimately what I took out of that competition.
Now, I know it's been a little bit, but going back to the moment that you won the Miss Greater Salt Lake title, what was that feeling like?
It's such an overwhelming feeling when you're standing on that stage. You've been there all night. You did interviews in the morning. You're exhausted. This is a unique competition because they actually give out 4 titles. And so I was standing on stage, and they called the name of, I think it's Miss Deseret, and then they called Miss Timpanogos, and then they called, I can't remember the name of the last one, but what is Miss Aspen Hills? And so I'm like standing there, and the 3 girls have gotten called, and I'm like, okay, that means I either got nothing or like I have a title. And it was really an overwhelming feeling, but so much gratitude. The journey is such a long one, and I did months and months of preparation, and it's something that I truly wanted, and I truly wanted to serve the state. And so when I heard my name called, I was just overwhelmed. I actually dropped like to my knees on the stage, and then got back up and walked forward. But it's just overwhelming.
Was there do you have a specific, I guess, number one supporter throughout the whole process of when you're competing?
Oh, 100% my mom. My mom is my biggest supporter. She stays up all night. She'll help me steam my gown. We're up rhinestoning things. She's my number one person that I go to for everything. And I think that's why I've become such, I would say, a successful individual, is just from her support and her pushing me to be such an amazing individual. So.
Now, I know CSIs are very important to title holders.
Yes.
Can you describe for us what your CSI is and how you plan to promote it during your reign?
Okay, so yes, my CSI is safety in sports, athletic abuse prevention. And this is something I started actually even before I became a title holder. I was really passionate. So all throughout my childhood, I grew up doing gymnastics, and that's a very, very, very competitive sport. I was training 7 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. That's 35 hours a week. I was homeschooled throughout my middle school and elementary school education. And so I put a lot of time and effort into this sport. And as I was there, I was getting, mentally and physically abused in my sport. And so ever since those days, I've been a huge advocate for standing up for athletes, especially young athletes who will listen to anything that their coach says because they're the person over them. They're the one that's telling them what they should be doing. And so as I've had this title and my previous title as well, I've done many tabling events where I talk about my CSI. And it's so interesting because every time I bring it up, somebody has an instance where they can name somebody that's been abused in the sport. It's such a common issue that people don't really talk about. And so that's kind of why I started my community service initiative, is because it's not talked about and it's something that needs to be talked about.
Now, being the current title holder of Miss Greater Salt Lake, how has that impacted your personal and professional life?
I think it's kind of built up both. I've always tried to live my life where all of the things that I do align with each other. And so being a part of the Miss Greater Salt Lake organization, that aligns with my personal goals to become, a better public speaker, more service oriented. And so I think just coordinating that into my life and making every aspect line up has been kind of essential for my success.
Now, what inspired you to run for the position of student body vice president here at the University of Utah?
Yes. So actually the current president, Alex Rose, he was the main inspiration. He actually came to me and said that he believed I would be a good person for the role. And again, I kind of led off with that imposter syndrome of, I don't know if that's something that I could do or that, I'm smart enough to do or capable. And we talked some more about it and he convinced me. And, I'm so grateful that I did run because I have been able to prove to myself, to others, to anybody that's like me, that this is something we can do. Female leadership is at a low in Utah, and so I'm grateful to be a leader in the forefront of that. Seeing female leaders in universities is very, very rare, and so I'm happy to be there and supporting that and encouraging other young women to get in this position because, like I said, I didn't think I could do it, but here I am, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job. So
yeah. Now, can you describe for us what the election process is for running for? Because I know for the high school level, it's completely different. It's not.
Yes.
It's only like a few thousand students. While at a university, it can be.
Wow. We have 36,000 students. Yeah. So yes, it's pretty lengthy process. We actually filed to run. I think we did it in December. And then all through February is when we ran. So it was, I believe, 4 weeks. We had preliminary rounds, and this is just for the executive tickets. We also have a Senate and Assembly in our university. So we kind of have like our government is ran after the U.S. government, if that kind of makes sense. Or like the only university in the state and country, I believe, that does that. What? And so yeah, it's really unique. So we have a really large student government, but for at least the executive cabinet or the executive presidency, the three of us. So we ran for those 4 weeks. We had like a preliminary round, and then they eliminated down to 3 tickets. And it was a lengthy process. There was a lot of going out, just talking to students, figuring out things that we wanted to run on. We had our 3 pillars, but I gathered a lot of information while running from the students. And I think that kind of encouraged me looking forward, into the position to do a good job. But so, yeah, that's kind of the process. I don't know if that's as in detail as you wanted, but.
Oh, no, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's very simple if you compare college running for vice president compared to high school level, it's more complicated.
Yeah, there's a lot more roles. You still kind of do some of the same things. You still have posters. You still have campaigns. You still try and, get people to vote for you. You're out there literally just talking to random students. Hey, have you voted yet? Get on your phone and vote right now. But it's definitely a larger outreach. So.
Were you guys allowed to use social media platforms? Because I know for our high school, we're allowed to do that, which, I'll be honest, I don't know if it really helped us or not. But
yeah, we are. We actually created the Rose Presidency Instagram. And we even did photo shoots and videos for it. It was pretty intensive. But yeah, you're allowed to use social media. I think that was our biggest pull, was getting people to share stuff on social media to each other, because I think a lot of the students here at the U don't necessarily know that there is a student government that represents them. And so being able to reach those students that didn't know that they have this and telling them, hey, we'll do a good job. Now you know who we are. And so reaching those students who wouldn't have voted in the first place was kind of our initial goal. So
Yeah, I definitely forgot there was that sort of student body vice president for a university.
yeah.
Now, going to the moment that you learned that you had won the position of vice president, what was that feeling like for you?
That was a really big shock to our whole presidency, actually, because there was an initial election run and then there was actually a revote. And so we had like a huge disappointment at the beginning. And then we went through that, we found in ourselves that it would be okay that we were in this position. So I kind of had counted it out in my life. And then all of a sudden one day I get a phone call and I'm sitting with my whole family and I just came back in and I literally looked at my mom and I was like, so I just won. And she was like, what? So it was really, really a huge shock. But like I said, I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunities that I've been given. I, again, had that imposter syndrome at the beginning, but I feel like I've grown into the role and that initial surprise kind of gave me like a little push into the role.
What are some key initiatives or projects that you hope to implement during your term as vice president?
Yes. So we have a saying that we always say basically at every meeting, anytime we're doing anything. And it's just to engage and empower students. And it sounds so simple, but that is our mission here at the U and at the Rose presidency is to engage and empower students. And so every single thing that we do kind of falls behind that. Recently, we just had our rail jam, which was, I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. It was really cool. We got a 50-foot like rail ski thing. I'm not a huge skier, so if I get the terms wrong, that's my bad. But we had that and we had students and professional athletes like going down that. We had judges. It was in collaboration with Woodward, so it was a really cool event. It was actually our most attended event by ASU thus far. So it was really, really fun. But on the other side of that is it was actually a philanthropy event. And so that was kind of my part in the planning of this event was that 50% of the proceeds were going to go to the mental health, the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation. They recently opened a crisis center in Murray. And so that's something that a lot of our students our age, just in the state of Utah, we struggle with mental health a lot. And so being able to help that crisis center and help our students get the resources that they need while doing a fun event is kind of like killing two birds with one stone. And so I thought that was the best part of the event was that we get to give 50% of those proceeds.
Well, nice to you guys.
Yeah.
Has there been a favorite moment or experience so far being vice president?
I would say, honestly, just kind of the in-between moments. Every single time I'm here in this office, I know I have my office right behind us, but I always leave my door open and I have a bowl of candy in there. But it's just every time that I see the collaboration or I get to see, we have boards and boards and boards and getting to meet these people and their backgrounds and their ideas of how we can better the university. We all have this common goal of bettering our campus. And I think with that love for the students here, we all have such like a deep connection with each other. So I would just say all the time we're in my office laughing or coming up with ideas of what we can do next.
Now, going to one of the other things that you were part of here at the University of Utah, what has it been like so far being a part of the University of Utah cheer team?
That's such a fun experience. That was also kind of a last minute decision. I did cheer throughout high school. So after I quit gymnastics because of my abuse, I switched to cheerleading and I did that throughout high school. And then my mom actually was a little bit in my ear, like, you should try out for the U. You should try out for the U. And I didn't think I'd make it and I didn't really tell anyone. And then I ended up making the team. And so this will be my third year on the squad. But it's been such a surreal experience. Cheering in front of 56,000 fans on a Saturday night is something that you can't even describe. It's again that common goal. We all want our football team to win, yes, but it's seeing that many people for one common cause. It's just I love it. I almost get into tears thinking about cheering on the sideline on Saturday nights. So I love being.
Now, how has being part of the cheer team contributed to your overall college experience here?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty crucial to my college experience. So my sister actually attended the university for a year, and it was right before COVID, but she had such a different experience than I did. And I think it is because I am a cheerleader. Her experience was she came here, she didn't really make many friends, and it was really hard for her to connect with others. And so that's kind of, I think, why my mom encouraged me to become a part of something at the U. I don't think she needed it to be cheer. I think she just wanted me to be a part of a group. And so I think that's the biggest thing I've gained is just the friendships, the people that I can trust on this campus, just finding my community. I think that's a huge part in college. Like I mentioned earlier, there's 36,000 students here, and to find your group is really, really important. And so I think it's made my experience one that I'll tell my kids about and remember forever.
What have been some of your probably like favorite moments or experiences being part of the cheerleading team there?
Yeah, other than the 6 a.m. practices, those are rough. But I would say, again, just the Saturday nights, right at the beginning of the game where it's like the announcer's like, "Rice-Eccles, are you ready?" And the bus is going crazy. It's such a surreal experience and wouldn't trade it for the world.
Now, can you describe for us what the rivalry about the Utes versus BYU game is like?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, for cheerleading, I know it's a different experience than if you're on the football team
yeah.
as a fan, but what is that like for you?
Yeah, it's actually super interesting. So I got to travel to the BYU game this year, and it was so fun. It's so fun just to see so many passionate individuals, either side of the spectrum, like whether you're BYU fan, Utah fan, everybody's so passionate about their teams. It was so fun just because, you're down there, everybody's like, "Boo, Utah," and you're like, "Yeah, go Utes," just in their faces. But it's so funny because as a cheerleader, you're not even the one playing, but so many people will come up to you and just haggle you a little bit, but it's all part of the game, and it's so fun. I love the rivalry, especially since we're so close. And so there was a lot of Utah fans at that game, actually, my parents included, but it was fun. I love that game, and I can't wait for BYU to come here next year, so hopefully we can beat them.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple years.
I know. I'm like, come on, guys, like, let's get it together. But
yeah, I mean, I know my neighbors, they take Holy War, I guess is.
yeah.
Do you know why it's called Holy War? I still don't. I don't really understand why it's called Holy War because I know BYU is kind of, I guess, Mormon,
Yeah.
but it's not real. I mean, it's like a percentage is, but like most of the majority is not. I know University of Utah, it's just like there's probably Mormons, Catholic,
Yes, yeah.
all types of religions. So, in your mind, do you know why it's called the Holy War? Or
I think it's just kind of a play on the religion thing. We have so many diverse religions here at the U, and them being a private school, they're very focused on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I think it's just kind of a fun play on like, oh, like they're a private school. I mean, you go to a private Catholic school, correct? Yeah. And so I think it's just a fun play on like how they include, religion in their classes and we don't. So
I know for us, we are, I guess our Holy War for us is Judge Memorial because they're not a Catholic private school here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah.
Technically not allowed to call it a Holy War anymore because our football coaches get.
Really? That's funny.
We just call them we call them our brothers and sisters because it's not really a rival game anymore because we always beat them now.
Oh,
so
I love when a rivalry game turns into a blowout. So much.
Yeah, because they came to our school this year, and it's been 20 years since they've been to our school.
Yeah,
and we beat them, of course. So
that's so fun. Yeah, I love when that happens.
Now, what skills have you developed through your cheerleading that you applied to your other roles, especially as Miss Greater Salt Lake and Vice President here at the U?
Yeah, cheer has taught me a lot of things. I think some of the main things I take out of, practices in the mornings and being a part of a team is being a team player. When you're a cheerleader, I don't know how much you know about cheer, but you're doing stunts together. And so there's 2 bases, a back spot, and a flyer. And that's one of the best analogies of, like, nothing will work. Your stunt won't go up, you'll fall. People could get hurt if you're not all working together. And so I think that's one of the main things that I take with me into every aspect of my life. Being a leader here in the Associated Students of the University of Utah, being in the leadership. Not only am I a leader for the whole university, but I'm also a leader for our executive cabinet as well. And so just trusting the individuals that I've hired into my executive cabinet to do their jobs, because if they're going to lift me up, I trust them to do their creative visions. And when I trust them to do that, they lift us up as a whole. And that's kind of the same is true. I get lifted up. And so I bring that around with me all the time.
I think that's a good process.
Mhm.
Now, how do you balance the demands of being on the cheerleading team, but then also your role as vice president and as Miss Greater Salt Lake?
Yeah, this is a funny question. I get asked this all the time. And I will say it is not easy. I chose to be a part of multiple things. And that's something that, there's aspects of my life that do have to give. I will say I'm not the person that's able to go out and, hang out with friends till 10 p.m. every single night. But I'm so grateful for all of the opportunities that I've been given. I have a very balanced schedule. You should see my Apple calendar. It's like I have things, just set out weeks in advance. But I think just staying organized and choosing things that you genuinely want to be a part of. I love cheerleading. I love being vice president. I love being a title holder. And so none of that is like work for me because I love it. And so I just think finding joy in the things that you're already doing, and it won't seem like you're really that busy because you enjoy every moment of it.
Now, for my last question for you, what advice would you give to students who want to get involved in cheerleading or other extracurricular activities while managing their studies?
I would say do it. My mom always makes a joke to my family that I'm the do it girl. She gets almost scared when I call her because it's always, "Hey mom, what do you think about?" And it's me signing up for something else. But if you don't put yourself in those positions, if you don't try, you'll never know the experiences you could have had, the memories you could have made, or the impact of you could have had on other people's lives. And so I would say do as much as you possibly can, even if it's just a small inkling in the back of your brain. Like, maybe I'll try the piano. I just decided to start learning the cello a few weeks ago just because I wanted to, and I may already be too busy to do that, but it's something I wanted to do. And so I just say if you have any desire or any soul to do something, just go out there and do it because we might have.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Maddie, that does it for our interview today. Thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day to answer some of my questions.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was super fun, and I hope you have a great graduating year.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.